love it. Not only do I love it, I admire it simply because LeBron James, ever since he's, come into the league, he's the one guy that has truly bet on himself. And we just gave Oscar Robertson the Life Achievement Award. And, this whole free agency is about what Oscar Robertson did. Like we have the Larry Bird rule. We have the Oscar Robertson free agency rule. And LeBron James has used the free agency rule better than anyone has ever since he came into the league. And what that is all about is he bets on himself. He took 1, 2, 3-year deals so he can stay in control of his situation, in control of his destiny, and he got to be free and he can pick and choose and live where he wants to live and play where he wants to play. And I think he set a great example. And you look at Kevin Durant in terms of what he's doing now, you have a lot of young players who are truly betting on themselves and using the system the way it was meant to be used. So kudos to LeBron and kudos to Oscar Robertson.
Zeke, how far away do you think the Lakers are when you look at this roster now? I mean, clearly the question and the biggest question will be Kawhi. Reports are, again, that he wants to play with LeBron, that maybe they've talked. He wants to go to L.A. We know Philly has been involved. I don't know if Pop is going to rush necessarily, Zeke, to go send Kawhi with LeBron to the Lakers. But how far away do you think this group is now when you add LeBron to Luke Walton's bunch?
Well, I think they're close, but what LeBron is saying, he's willing to trust Magic Johnson to rebuild the team and rebuild the Lakers. And, he trusts management there. So he's placed a lot of trust in management hands, just as he did when he was in Miami. He placed a lot of trust in Miami's hands in terms of 3, 4-year deals, and he signed a 4-year deal with the Lakers. So he believes in what Magic Johnson is saying, and the relationship there is strong. Kawhi Leonard has already said that, regardless of wherever he gets traded to, he's going to only play there for a year, and then he's going to the Lakers. And, you can try to persuade Kawhi to come and stay longer with the team that he signs with or that he gets traded to, but all indications look like it's going to be a LeBron James and a Kawhi Leonard reunion either this year or next year.
Yeah, the point being, obviously, which I guess is the hope if you get Kawhi in Philadelphia, is that, Zeke, we had the situation with Paul George. Everybody thought he was a year away from going to the Lakers, ends up feeling comfortable enough to sign and invest himself long-term into the Thunder. So that would be the hope if Philly gets Kawhi. Let me ask you about Lonzo Ball, because I think there was the question of, can he, Zeke, play with Ben Simmons? Ben Simmons, a guy who wants the ball, obviously not a shooter. I don't think we question whether or not Lonzo Ball, a very talented kid, can figure out how to play with LeBron and vice versa. But how do you see the scenario playing out with his other teammate, LeVar Ball of the Lakers?
Well, LeBron James, excuse the noise in the background, LeBron James can play with anybody. And his skill set, if you look at the leaders in every statistical category over the last 10, 15 years, he's one of those guys that, is leading in scoring. He's up there in assists. He's up there in rebounds. So he has a well-rounded game. So he is truly the positionless player where you can't put him and pigeonhole him into any position. So he's capable of playing with anyone at any talent level. And what we do know about LeBron James is when he shows up, he has a way of making everyone else better. He elevates everyone else's game. So when you're talking about Alonzo Ball, right, a kid like that getting a chance to be around a LeBron James, a professional like LeBron James, who shows up, who works, who takes care of his body, who knows how to train, who knows how to, be a pro, who knows how to be a champion. But he's getting ready to do for that Laker organization, is just reinstill, the things that Magic Johnson, Kareem Abdul-Jabbar, Jerry West, Wilt Chamberlain, everybody else who's on that board, Kobe Bryant, James Worthy, he's just getting ready to bring back all those Laker values and champion values that flow to that organization.
Zeke, appreciate the time. Thanks for a couple minutes on a big night for LeBron and for the Lakers.
Hey, it's a big night for Magic Johnson. My friend,
That's
I'm
true.
happy for you, brother. I love you. LeBron, you're cool, but Magic, my man, I'm happy for you, brother. Here's some love and some kisses.
Thanks, Zeke. I want to take out on set, and D, I wanted to ask you, I've been wanting to since I talked to Kenny about it. You've covered the game for a long time, seen a lot of different machinations of it. I don't want to, just for a couple of years. Yeah. I think back to, the NFL at one point had the 49ers, the Packers, the Cowboys, and it was who's going to beat the AFC. So we've seen this since. I don't ever remember. You've got a stacked championship team that's not going anywhere. Regardless of OKC, some of the dysfunction people saw, there's still Paul George and Russell Westbrook to build with.
Steven Adams.
Houston could have won the whole thing, and the Lakers are just getting started now with LeBron. Do you ever remember such lopsided conferences in your time covering the game?
Sure. Mid to late 80s. Boston, Detroit, Chicago. In the East, were all Philadelphia. Milwaukee. Nobody remembers the Milwaukee Bucks. The Milwaukee Bucks averaged 55 wins a year for like 7 years in a row.
Sidney Moncrief.
With Moncrief and Marcus Johnson, they were really good.
In the wrong conference.
They're in the wrong conference.
Yeah.
They just weren't good enough to beat Boston. So this happens all the time. You have one great team out west, the Lakers, that nobody could put a team together to beat, just like you have in the East. You had whatever team LeBron's on. You couldn't. And so, yeah. That's why I don't get bent out of shape about this. Oh, it's terrible for the league. No, it's not. It's what happens. You have these cycles where a couple of through the draft. In that case, in the early '80s draft, where you had Isiah go to Detroit, number 2 in 1980, and you had Bird go number 6 in '79. You had Michael go number 3 in '84. I mean, you had these huge, incredible players all go east in a 5-6 year period. And so it happens. It does happen in this league. I think it's great for the league. I mean, I'm always taken by the notion that in the sport that's filled with as many alpha males, both on the floor and off the floor as the NBA, you wouldn't think competitive people don't want to kick Golden State's butt. Of course they do.
And I love that.
Yeah.
They're not running away from that opportunity.
So the Lakers they're not going to sit back and, just keep losing. Yeah. No, as you said, they got to land the plane. They landed a big one tonight.
No question. Jumbo jet came in.
Isiah said it too. He's showing faith in their front office that they can continue to build. And it's meaningful. And the commitment he made contractually is meaningful. Now, again, that commitment comes at a time when he's 33 years of age. And taking $150 million off the table and letting your family know where they're going to grow up is really meaningful. So the time was right for this too. But he's absolutely investing in that ownership group in that front office, and he's giving his future to that. But what I think is the most fascinating thing about all of this talk about the East and the West is who is the alpha that's going to be a free agent out of the West that wants to go dominate the East.
Right.
Because if you're Kawhi Leonard, you're not an alpha, really. You're not outspoken like that. You don't want to be the face. Paul George didn't want to be the face. He's very happy being in the background with Russ playing lead. Who wants to go be the lead now in the East? And it may very well be somebody who's already in Boston. It may very well be somebody who's already in Philadelphia. And they just haven't had the platform yet and haven't grown into that role. You've got two teams there that can be juggernauts in their own right eventually. And Danny Ainge should get a lot of credit now. He's been mindful, he's been patient, and all he did was put that team in the very best position of any team in basketball from future asset value, while his conference is totally up for grabs.
I want to ask you guys on the end about the Kawhi conversations, but let's talk about the money that the Lakers have and talk about that aspect. Eric, take us through this. I mean, really, ever since draft day, we've talked about all the possibilities. Now you can institute LeBron and drag him over there for good. Give us a sense of where we're at now financially with the Lakers.
Well, to start, I'd like to say that I'm thankful that all of these months and probably years at this point of theory crafting LeBron to Los Angeles will have meant something because, I've been doing this job for a long time, and there's been a lot of years where they've been chasing these free agents and they haven't hit it. So at least, something I've written came true at some point along the way. So I put on the board LeBron and KCP, Kentavious Caldwell-Pope. I don't know if you know what a loss leader is. It's where you make like an investment that you probably won't get back, but it's worth worth the try, and maybe it's gone. They invested in KCP last year, and what that did was that I saw Rich Paul, LeBron's agent, and his partner, sitting with Jeannie Buss at Staples Center, getting to know each other. They weren't tampering. They weren't talking about LeBron, but they were building a bridge, building a relationship. And so that's what opened up this door. That was probably the best investment that has been made by a team. If this works for the Lakers and they win a championship, that investment in KCP was the championship investment. But now they've got about $13.8 million. So, of course, KCP is back because he's a Rich Paul client, and they're taking care of him. I would look at Nerlens Noel as a possibility. You go down the list of Clutch clients, and any of those guys are possibilities for the Lakers if they have some money for them. So they have about 13.8 now, and you've got Luol Deng on there. So they can stretch his 2-year deal out over 5 years, and that will give them about $24 million, in that range. Maybe that's enough to get Boogie Cousins. Maybe some of that goes to Julius Randle, and they split it with someone else. Now, if they trade Luol Deng outright, and that could be expensive, but let's say they offer $5 million, a couple of first-round picks to Atlanta, that's a lot. Maybe even a second. You know, just make it so that it's a Godfather offer. Maybe no players, but these resources. Now you're at about $31 million, and you're back to where you need to be to give another max. Now, there may not be a max guy out there. We talked earlier today about maybe Boogie Cousins for about $28 million. That could be a possibility. And then, of course, we have the crazy talk, which is, you know, you got Luol Deng and Brandon Ingram. If they could be the principals in a trade for this guy right here, Kawhi Leonard, now you've got Kawhi Leonard. Now you've got LeBron James. You've got KCP. You've got all the young kids except for Ingram. That's your sacrifice. And maybe that's not enough for the Spurs, but let's just say it was, right? Now you still have about $17 million. Maybe you keep Randall. Maybe you spend it on someone else. Still a Brook Lopez. I wouldn't be shocked. Lakers have about $5 million left in their room exception, roughly. Maybe that goes to Brook Lopez. They have his rights, and next year they can pay him a little bit more. So this is a team that is still obviously missing pieces to be a threat to the Warriors, but they've got a good start.
You know, it's fine. You mentioned, Eric, you mentioned somebody who needs to be mentioned here, and that's Jeannie Buss. Mm-hmm. Jeannie Buss, about a year and a half ago, fired her brother. She fired her brother. And she fired Mitch Kupchak, who had only been there as they had won 4 or 5 championships.
1970.
Right, right.
As a player and executive, had 10 rings, by the way.
Yeah, and did it because she thought they needed to get better at this very thing, which is closing a deal with prominent free agents, because they have been swinging and missing for years on prominent free agents. And she hires Magic Johnson and Rob Pelinka, who, while a very successful agent, had never been an executive in any capacity before, to run the team, essentially, and said, I trust you guys to deliver. And she should get an incredible amount of credit for having the guts to do that with one of the most storied franchises in the history of sports. I mean, are there 5 franchises in all of sports that have a bigger name and bigger cachet than the Los Angeles Lakers?
There may not be 3.
Yeah.
Well, and David, to go on that point, she hired them and backed off. And I'm the owner.
Yeah.
I'm not going to get involved. I'm not going to tell you what to do. Magic, I'm going to hire you. And that's what the great franchises do. They hire their people and let them do their job, and they enjoy being owners and do what the owners should do. But you're right. She endured the frustrations of them losing and not getting free agents, but now she reaps the benefits of getting LeBron.
Yeah.
And I think it goes to say that now the New York Knicks, the Lakers, these big markets weren't getting those free agents. Now the Lakers, I think it goes with David said, now the Knicks have a lot of money. Brooklyn has a lot of money.
Right.
Next year, who's going to be the next guy to say, hey, I'm going to go to one of these markets and become that guy?
He becomes a big market.
That's why it's cyclical, by the way, because the deck gets cleared,
And
there's an
forgets.
opportunity there. Then you have opportunity. I can be the one to resurrect the New York Knicks. I can be the one to do X, Y, Z.
Yeah.
When your point about alphas, right? When you are a true alpha and you want to win, you also believe you're the reason you win.
Yeah.
And that's going to be really interesting to see how this shakes out.
Let me be clear. Would I have said that 24 hours ago when they didn't have LeBron James? No. But they got him. And as Bill Parcells used to say, this is a results-oriented business. They got him.
Speaking of they got him, who will get Kawhi? When we come back, I want to get into that and where that stems off of this. But you know that social media is going crazy. How about Ice Cube? There is a God.
Oh, that's right.
Must be magic.
Yeah.
We got more coming up, and we got the fever now.